Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. My name is thetroublmaker, and this is the Wargame Cup 2012, Round 7. And this is the map Straight Ahead. Quite the scary map. Very, very scary. We have a NATO player, and despite the very messed up name, his technical name is General Binks, and he's one of the top players in the world. He's got a lot of helicopters, a lot of anti-infantry, and looks very prepared. His opponent is the pact player Hunt3r xXx, and looks like he's going for something very odd. Lots of T-80s. I always point those out because it just always seems odd for a person to have more than one. And lots of infantry. In fact, he's going to slide around the side here. And the commander just might go back to two of them, actually. And he's going to take Delta and Echo. That's interesting. So that's a formulation that not a lot of players have been taking. And he's got a lot of infantry to deal with a lot of infantry of Hunter, but looks like he might just get pushed out of Echo. It's hard to say. If he can sneak this command in, he might be able to create a flanking maneuver. All the while, General Binks is moving a lot of units in to try and support this, specifically these Waysale MK20s, which do very, very good against infantry. And just a lot of stuff in general, actually. And looks like a lot of these, with the Topaz carriers, he's able to push back. There are some Waysale MK20s here that will be able to clean up a lot of this. And looks like the commander will in fact get into position. And so it looks like Hunt3r xXx will be in the money. He's going to be getting 5 points every 5 seconds as opposed to the 4 of his opponent. And we'll get a slight lead. Early on though, Hunt3r xXx actually taking a very sizable lead. 200-point lead. That's pretty good. That's game-winning good. And we see General Binks is going to move in some of these Fusilier squads into the forest, and has already kind of outed some of these Moto Strategies. So the first thing that Hunt3r xXx is going to have to probably do is get more infantry in this woods. He's using these T-80s very well though, just using them to pick off any units he can. And actually the Zolos have moved up, so these Waysale MK20s might want to GTFO, which is bad English for get out, because these Zolos should be able to clean that up very easily. So not particularly great opener for General Binks, probably too prepared, and he's actually got a lot of infantry prepared in a lot of interesting spots, as the commander for Hunt3r xXx is actually going to leave Delta. Now where he's going to bring this to is kind of weird. He might try and move to Charlie, but there is actually an element of surprise already waiting for him. A rep, not rep FAMAS, just a rep. Odd unit choices are odd, and with all these rallies coming in, there should be more than enough units to actually take out all this sort of stuff that Binks has been bringing here. In fact, this BTR-60 Pi has been fairly effective in what it's doing. There is an anti-tank gun Milan F2 here, but it's got its rockets off, which is kind of obnoxious. It doesn't want to waste its rockets. It wants to wait for the big tanks to come out, and Binks will specifically click it back on. Very good identification of strengths and weaknesses right there. And as Binks moves in here, there's actually nothing for him to take anymore. There's nothing of particular value. The one valuable thing that he could took is actually gone already. And in fact, it looks as though Hunt3r xXx is going to have to go for some kind of all-in, because if you look at the map's very good for Binks actually, because Binks can now move on down to Foxtrot and get his own power coupling. And he can actually expand over to India, because the entire force of Binks is isolated into this one spot where basically there's no strategic value anymore. Well, no real strategic value. So Binks playing very, very well, very strategical. I believe that is in fact a word. Mata VTSIs versus the Jalo is my favorite encounter. And the anti-tank gun squad will walk away. Will he turn back on the rockets? He does, in fact, turn on the rockets. He wants to get some use out of these, realizing that he's not going to be able to really use them to a good potential. And will he be able to get any big hits? If he gets the T-80, that would be huge. And with the range, he should be able to do it. So T-80 going to move up, try and deal with the Marauder VTSI. But here we go. The anti-tank guns are coming in. Will the tanks get crushed? That's the question. Lots of randomness. And oh, no, just misses. And second rocket will wind up, and a VAB coming in. Lots of nice little distractions. Here comes the rocket. Another miss. Unfortunately, just not really good accuracy on this team. Very, very bad luck. And the T-80s have just been doing very effectively, beating back these Waysale MK20s. And this is a very hard counter for Binks to deal with. Although it looks like the Fusiliers have cleared up this wooded location. And Binks is, although he's like 200 points behind, he's actually in a very good position on the map. He will be having a much higher income rate compared to the one basing Hunt3r xXx, who does have a huge points lead, which also can't be discounted. And it's going to be on Binks to really get a high income, figure out what to do, how to break this, and then break it. And it shouldn't be too hard because it looks as though Hunt3r xXx is going to try and spread out a little bit more, try and deal some more damage. And here comes the command armor. This is kind of a scary situation. Oh god, he just gets away. The Tunguska looks like it's going to cover. He doesn't want to lose the commander right now. In fact, he's got lots of units coming in to clear the way, and he's actually going to get the commander back into Delta in a place that really was vacated. And he's just been slowly cleaning Delta out of their infantry, and now he's going to be able to retake that location and really turn it into another matchup. And if you look, Binks got scared. He moved back to Gulf. He had no real good reason to, but he got scared, and he moved back to Gulf. It appears that he wants to clear out this base before he even takes that base. And Legion getting deployed against some anti-infantry vehicles. And due to the grenade damage, they're going to do very well. The Motostrelki are here. Legion, of course, have a good spread, so even though they'll probably all die, they'll do a lot more damage than they otherwise would have. And lots of promotions going around as these Legion are going to die. And more infantry are going to go into the woods. And in fact, now the position goes to Hunt3r xXx once again. Has kind of made his way around, and a beautiful position of this conquer. This is basically my favorite tactic for this map. It's placing anti-tank weaponry along this axis. That way you can push into here and do crushing damage from very far away. And these things are cheap too. They're not expensive. But there is an anti-tank Milan squad here. It looks like he's going to have to move up. He's forced to kind of move up and take care of that. He wants to get this nice long-range open fields. And that's exactly what he goes for. There's AMX 30Bs coming in here. That would be some nice, tasty Conquer rocket killers. And actually, I don't know if Binks is really responding. Maybe he just doesn't know the score. He doesn't realize he's 300 points behind because he needs to get out units that he can use for an attack. He's actually too far behind to win this on small battles. He can't do it. It's impossible. He needs to be able to win big battles. It's especially prudent now there's a Dana on the map. One Dana can make a huge difference, especially in these forested areas. Losing a lot of infantry will nickel and dime your enemy down. And when your opponent's nickel and diming you down, you can't nickel and dime them down. That way you're just trading nickels. And nobody wants nickels. Everyone wants dollars. So we have some T-62s actually going to try and move up and pick off some of these infantry units, but will be pulled back right away. You know, by the way Hunt3r xXx is controlling this, I have a sneaking suspicion that he is either claned or has practiced with Komurami, because this is basically what I would call textbook Komurami play. He builds a nice position on the map, and then he just slowly picks off units. He's not interested in big giant battles. He's not really interested in big giant trades. He's not looking to snipe your commander. He's just looking to slowly chip you away. Speaking of which, Fusilier squad and Montshooten both going to be wiped out here, mostly by artillery fire. Here's a poor little rep squad going to get chased away by Motostrelki. Martyr VTSI coming into support, and a very good decision on the part of Hunt3r xXx. I'm going to pull these back, but here we go. A nice little infantry drop here on this Legion. He's going to have some T-62 fire into that direction, so that way no vehicles will come in support, and oh, every single one of those dies. So Hunt3r xXx losing his lead, actually getting nickeled and dimed away. He really has to stay consistent with this Dana if he wants to do this nickel and diamond strategy, which means constantly supplying the Dana with its own set of 3 or 4 supply trucks and just pounding on locations. Because if you want to do a strategy that's based around nickels and dimes, you got nickels and dimes. And right now, if Binks can keep his artillery fire pounding and keep it consistent, he can very well come back in this. 130 points to gain, though 10 minutes. He's going to probably need some big attack if both players stay consistent with their artillery fire. And artillery fire consistency is going to be a big decider here. Using these empty U-rolls to actually scout with. Does he not have an FOB? No, he does not, and that's why. And by giving the U-rolls also, it's a little cheesy trick, but basically if your opponent captures your U-rolls, they become his possession. If you destroy them, you get the points for it. So if you put a U-roll in a place that you know you can kill it with artillery, you fire in that location and you get like 10-20 points. So we do have some anti-tank gun Milan squads moving up slowly. Just 5 of them. This squad itself is quite valuable. It's a 43-point, 4-vetted anti-tank gun Milan squad. And it's actually been pretty brutal to remove with that high of veterancy. It's not been very successful with shots so far. A lot of bad luck on these shots actually for Binks. And it looks like there's finally a small foothold here by Hunt3r xXx, who is now moved up. No, he's about the same, 130 points ahead. And whoa, we actually had the anti-tank gun squad immediately loaded into a VAB, and it's going to retreat. That is a very weird, very fast microing approach. A Martyr 1 is going to move out to try and buffer, and then he might try and dump this anti-tank squad behind it. Yes, in fact, that's exactly what he does. And now he can get a nice little pot shot off on the Helo, or the Topaz, really. Either one. Doesn't do significant damage, however. Nothing really destroyed. But everything's kind of forced into a retreat. In the middle here, we still see Mott Shoots. Looks like a Fusilier showed up to kind of push it out. And actually, Hunt3r xXx is 300 points ahead. A lot of these cutesy plays here by Binks are really cool to watch, but they're not really effective. He needs a big, grand scheme. He needs something that will crush his opponent in. And realistically, the lead that Hunt3r xXx has been the lead that he has had the whole game. And so both players trying to nickel and dime each other down with small pushes and small things has basically amounted to a kind of a stalemate scenario where if both players started off even, they would be even. In fact, more OFIs are coming out, which I'm told are not OFIs, or AUF1s, but I'm going to call them OFIs still. It's a cooler name. And Hunt3r xXx just moving a T62 forward, trying to pick something off, but looks like he will lose it himself, and he's got to push these back. The T62 actually has a superior range to the Martyr VTSI, or equal, maybe. I'm pretty sure it's superior, though. And he actually loses that one. And this could be the last hurrah of Binks. Although I'm not even entirely sure he knows what the score is. It's now a 170 point difference. Lots of AUF1s, also known as the OFI. And he's kind of hoping for a Hail Mary here, looks like. And a player the caliber of General Binks looking for a Hail Mary is almost kind of sad. Sad state of the tournament. A T80 with a recon. Hunt3r xXx just using these little cutesy plays himself. And it's a recon without bullets, so it's not really a scary one. And it just extends the range of the T80s enough, and that's actually it. You can see in the backdrop here, Binks did try to do a last-minute push, but he's just been outplayed and outclassed by a very unknown player. So General Binks, General Jaw Binks, out of the tournament, and he's actually one of those people who was favored to go to the finals. So the list of community celebrities is slowly decreasing, and the finalist will be maybe an unknown.